anti-establishment, anti the crown, and they definitely don't like Harry and Meghan's funny. You just think, well, what? Not that you worry, but you just find this amusing. Especially, and then you look back and you just think, oh, all of it's just, how can you take it real? Anyway, and I mean, exactly, who would have thought, right? And they're trying to tell you everyone hates Trump, but they've been pushing it down your throat. They're the ones who are behind it all. It's so interesting. So very interesting. And they're trying to make out that Trump's anti-establishment. Well, hello, but they're really trying to get him in power. They supported him, they are backing him, they're promoting him. It's so interesting. It's like reverse psychology, if you know how they work. It's reverse psychology they're using, and they understand the mind again. But it's so funny. And this is all source. There's no one there. These are bodies just, on running programs. God, it's so funny. What a time to be alive. So there we are, people. Don't get so upset. There's no bird. You see, this is a tactic. Left wing, right wing. There's a thing again. See, it's a program running. It's so much brainwashing. And these things are easy to program. So once you believe, there's a left wing, they're right, there's this, who's what? These are people. One country, one planet. All the same bodies, all humans. This is what, when you awake, you realize that you think, one love, we're on the same planet. You could work together. Interesting, we're playing puzzles now. Sorry, people. It wants to end it. You're on the same planet. What is so, but the program is running so badly that they're not our country. Then it's a national security. They're just doing their jobs. Everyone's running their program, so it's national security. You've got to try and it's competition. Let's go to war. What do you got? They've been doing this for years and having wars with each other and nonsense. No, you do what you're going to do. Depends on the program running you. But if you understand what is, there's only source here. Yes, the game's going on. It's not real. Nothing's actually happening. But in the story, yes, you will feel it. The character, no, it's real, but it's not. You've got to see it and experience it. When you see it, you really realize this is a complete illusion. Science tells you there's nothing solid here, people. No one's real. This is an illusion. As long as you have a me, myself, I, you, a separate one, you believe that you are a person in a body having a life, the Maya will not collapse. But when you pull away from this bullshit, you start seeing through it and you think, holy shit, there's no people, no one in the bodies. This is not real. It's very true. There's nothing solid here, no matter. Come on. Floating in the middle of nothing on a rock called gravity. Yeah. But the programs are running. This is what I'm saying. You can see it. It's so interesting to understand how the thing works on a program. You all know. Dr. Joe Dispenza tells you, change the program. So this commune program, this right wing, left, right, depending on what's in the program, what you've been sold and believed, you're not going to change the mind, especially if you believe it. But it really is interesting. Don't take it so seriously. The programs they're running. And this nonsense about, there's a shortage of money and debt and we have a budget. When money is created, there's nothing complete. Any financial system can be made like that. Money's made from nothing. We decide this is how we want it and we want to keep all the money here and you can have a little bit. Same system, but we change the system, but we still want to have a lot and you can have a few pennies. So you can just rent our properties out and get like a few thousand a month and be happy, Sorry. All of it's funny, especially when you know none of it's even real. And there's not even separate characters playing. This is the amusing part here. There is no separate character. They really believe that they are John and Mary and Jane and that's what I'm saying. Look, and they're fighting. They go to war. There's another country. So, just be observant, and if you are, and watch it. try not to take it so seriously. Sorry, but they're going to do it anyway. That's what I'm saying. It's running a program. But you can learn a lot if you understand how the character works. You've done enough inner work, enough meditation. You understand how the program works, how this whole matrix. Then once you understand how this character programs, and you see the patterns repeating, you will see it. And you know, as you listen to enough non-duality, they tell you. You've seen the bubble. The minute this pops, you do away with this illusionary separate one, the whole thing falls and you realize there isn't no separate ones. And I'm saying it's a complete illusion. And you are living in your own bubble. That pops. Those that are awake at the bubble has popped. They'll tell you there's no people, there's nothing. It's completely transparent like forms, actually. So that's it. You living in your bubble and your program's telling you this is communist and they right and they left and they bad and we got to do this and all. That's it. That program's running. That thing is just going. And if you're listening to the parrot and you believe what the mind is telling you, you're going to run that program. And this is why we have war. And we have this same nonsense repeating itself. But if you understand this now, like I'm telling you, any reason why is from an observation, then you'll see it's interesting. Then you will see it and you will find it actually very interesting. Because you can see it. It shows you clearly how the pattern, that they're running patterns, and that's how you easily see them. Because the bankers are being predictable, they're behaving like bankers. The intelligence agencies and the regime change are behaving like they always do. And the same called regime change and this anti-communist and look at the same tactics they used on Jeremy Corbyn they're now using on the Labour again, because it's not what they wanted in power. They didn't get their way because the people didn't vote how they wanted them to. Because the people were fed up. They were like, no, we have enough of this shit. We're suffering enough now. Thank you. You can take your thing and shove it. It didn't go their way they wanted to, for them to make this change. So it is, just observe it. And who are you going to judge? There's no one to judge. That's the most interesting part. There's no one to judge because there's no one in the bodies in the first place. The bodies are just automatic. They're just parroting their patterns. It's repeating the same pattern. It's got a story, and it's got a so-called genetic thing, and it's illusion anyway because there's no time. You listen. Pay enough attention to the so-called mind. There's no mind, but anyway, that's another thing. It's appearing as a mind. It's just a lot of thoughts. But pay attention to them. And then you'll see it'll pop up in the morning, download yesterday, as though it happened yesterday. But there's no time. When you wake, and there's no time. There's no space. So nothing can happen because there's no separation and there's no time. So what you think is a thought of a memory or a past appears right now. It's as I say, it's how the Maya is made. It's trying to tell you there's a past. So the thought appears now saying, yes, that happened to you, and this, and I listen to it now, about my illness. I'm like, yeah, go away. And I'm not interested. It's just a story. It's trying to create a story, even now, when this one's now about being ill. It's trying to create a story. And that happened, and you're like, no one's here. Who's living? There's not even anyone living a life. So, it's just a story. But it's interesting when you know it's a story. You don't believe in what the thoughts are saying. Because if there's no time and space, nothing's happened. And when you've seen it and there's no one in it, it's shocking. It is a bit of a shock. When you really believe this is real, everything's real. Come on, and science tells you that. Science is proving that the actions are taken. The actions are taken before the thoughts. And if you observe it enough, you know that. So how can you? It's just interesting. Please understand they are repeating whatever beliefs and programs, even the countries. It's so clear to see the collective consciousness. Behavior patterns. You see, whatever collective, grouping that those avatars have. It's so interesting. So it's clear to see this bullying, corporate takeover, bullying, harassment, muscle power, is almost acceptable. And people think it's okay. We want to be the biggest, strongest, whatever, dominate everyone kind of thing. It just is. But there's no one doing it. That is it. And when you really know that, you will hate nothing, judge nothing. There's no emotion behind it. There's no charge. Here, there's only love. There's nothing. There's no elite. It's a story. They might believe it. Those who are playing, it's just they're playing a part. That body is playing its character, whatever it is playing. Who knows? It's a story. Come on. But yeah, that's what you expect. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Do you understand? Look at the program. If you've grown up with a program, like the royals, and you're married and you're taught this and you're that and you're this and this is your thing, and look at their parents did, so you can see they will repeat the same behavior. They'll see the world. That's what I'm saying, the parrot. They're all just doing the same thing. That's how it's so easy to see. If you actually understand that, you will see it. But it also depends on, what you've looked into and haven't. For here, it is highly fascinating to see. What they're trying to tell you is like, oh, the government doesn't want. It's exactly what the government's trying to tell everybody. So funny. And to watch people actually believe it. Of course. I mean, that's why they get upset and they manage to do regime changes and all this kind of thing and get people worked up and the government this and they're trying to, take over a Muslim country and, it's going to become Sharia law. And, they are trying to scare and it's all propaganda and fear tactics and manipulation and you watch it going on, fake videos. It's amazing what they're getting away with there. On a social experiment too, because it's social, it's manipulation, trying to change the public's behavior, diet, way of thinking, everything, their beliefs. You're trying to change history. So we want to give you a new history. We want to change the way you think, eat, behave, everything. And then you see the opposition. You see? So you see those that don't want change fightings. And I'm saying there's like all these camps. And you just think, and then you watch, obviously a lot of people are completely falling for it. But obviously, whatever. It doesn't matter what happens. That's what I'm saying. It's all source. No one's even doing it. That's the best part. There's no one even in the body. There's no real people or bodies. It's so lovely. But it is fascinating. And it's very easy to see. And then how their avatars operate. Predictable, actually. Very predictable. And transparent. Well, that's actually the whole Maya. Because then you can see how a good person who spotted that, who's quite sharp, is our Paul Hederman. Very sharp man. Not easy to see through that. He saw through how the mechanism of the so-called separate one, this illusion me, myself, I works. Not bad. For an ex-junkie, that's what I'm saying. People assume just because someone's a junkie, they're not intelligent. Some people have very high IQs, they're very sharp, but they might not be, they might not have studied, they might not have finished university. That means nothing. That's just a program they're running. People think if you've got a university degree, you're smart. No. There's a different kind of intelligence. Some of them are street, they're much sharper. And I tell you, for someone to see through the Maya and to see how the mechanism works, like Paul Hederman, takes a lot of introspection and being very sharp and awake. He picked up things that most people wouldn't pick up. Very sharp guy. Got to give him credit for that. Everything, all the games. The whole Brexit. Look, there's a classic one. But if you see that, how many civilians would know the games and the tactics that the military use? And some of them even believe half the stories and stuff they're being fed. And they think these people are real. Half the videos they watch, they believe these are real, just normal Joe Soap next door. Most of them are operatives. Paid actors, all kinds of things. It's so fascinating. And everyone believed that, everyone's against Trump. Meanwhile, the establishment is obviously definitely voting for him. But if you make people think that guy is the, fighting for you or the underdog, you see, it's tactics used, everyone is going to go for him. Fascinating. Everything. Just the whole thing is fascinating. It's so interesting. Because it doesn't actually matter, mean anything anyway. Nothing's actually happening. Oh, fake videos. Just go and have a look. What's that woman everyone seems to think was an underdog? I found that very interesting. That so-called Christian lady who's like herbalist, who's very vegan, very pushing vegan and the mainstream narrative in a way, actually. eat vegan, don't do this and that, and she, whatever. But a lot of her videos are being shared, but voiceovers. If you watch the lips, and there's a lot of videos, some of them are obvious, some aren't. But the lips don't go with the videos. I mean, some fakery is quite obvious, but the regime change tactics and anti sort of things that most people don't see through, and the staged incidences that happen, or staged attacks, stage invasions, and whatever, immigrant issues. It's if you can't see the pattern after so many elections, and every time the year of the elections these same things happen, you've got to be able to notice it. That every elections come up and they push the communist threat. Just watch the games and go back. And if you watch, same elections, and if the elections come up again, you always have a huge immigration crisis. Obviously, they want to achieve something, anti-immigrant laws or something. So they will create a problem to get a law in. So it's transparent. Just go back and have a look at a couple of years. That's what I'm saying. It's patterns. So the mind, the so-called mind, even if you believe the brain is anyone in there, there's no actual mind if you pay enough attention. There's no one. The thoughts come out of nothing. There's nothing there. So it's just energy that repeats whatever the character's used to thinking, is what I'm saying. Then you'll see that these patterns, you'll see the patterns of every election, they play the same cards, terror threat. So there's always some incident or terror attack or terror threat if they're not getting their way, if they want to change the government. There is always huge immigration. All of a sudden, why are the boats only coming over the election year? There's a lot of immigration. A lot of cameras happen to be there when boats come in. There's all you see. And then if you understand that the tactics they've used for regime changes, so many countries, and go and have a look at, say, in 1947, how the CIA took part in the changing to rig the elections of Italy. Fascinating documentary, you'll learn. Then you'll see it's exactly happening in Britain and everywhere else. What they're doing, how they do it. See, just different tactics happen. So you can see the patterns, and then you understand if these avatars, it's all patterns and habits of behavior, Wall Street will behave the same way. They will think the same way. They'll make the same changes. So naturally, if the Marshall Plan happened this way, what are they doing now? They are doing the same thing. It's just called the Great Reset. But it's pretty much the Marshall Plan 2.0 they're trying to do. Yeah, the patterns are there, obvious. You can see the comparisons. So you are living through the Marshall Plan 2.0. Go with us, or we're going to shut you out, and we're going to whatever. It's bully. You can't come to my party. But if from a point of view that you are source, there's no separate ones anyway. It is amusing, because they all source. There's no one even in there, and you're on one planet. Can't you behave like humans, even though you are not real? But can't you all just be nice? And we are on the same planet. No one's going to get off. We're all going to eat. We all have to get through this. So it's not like some of us are going to be okay, aren't. So if we're all decent, no one needs to go hungry. No one needs to starve. No one needs. There's absolutely never a need for poverty or anything here. The planet is big enough to feed everybody if we decided to work together. Instead of warring with each other and trying to dominate and control each other. It's greed. Absolute greed. Amazing. For no one and no thing. That's what I'm saying. If you understand that, you can laugh. You see. But you will understand they will behave the same way, because that's how Wall Street had the crown. Let's look at their ancestry. And they've always warred and always done. So they will, it's predictable. They will do the same thing. Because their ancestors have warred and gone to war with each other to control land. I mean, this is what we're living through. It's so obvious to watch them. Same thing, Wall Street, Marshall Plan, being implemented now. Same tactics, the same thing they're trying to achieve. Control the complete markets. Everything has come through America. America's goods, Amazon only, whatever. The regime change tactics. The intelligence agency, military, same thing. Just that people didn't expect to be used on their own countries. Why, I don't know. They did away with a law in 2012 that allowed your governments to use propaganda on their own people, which is regime change tactics, fake videos, civil unrest, all these things, and that's how you do it. Anyway, and the most amusing part is that everyone believes they're real. And they're on a real planet floating, a rock floating in the middle of nothing called gravity. And they actually have someone living in a body. Fascinating. It's so funny. So then they were. I just find it interesting. And it's so transparent. But I do feel sorry for people because, they must be so confused. Sorry. But what do you eat? One side's selling you vegan and artificial food that you can't even digest. Your body won't even metabolize some of the stuff they're putting in your food. And then others are telling you, no, you got to eat meat and this and that. Just observe. Because you're not going to live through this again. And love. And don't have any animosity. How can you? There's no real one there. There's only one that exists. No separate characters. These bodies are running a program. And the I does not want to dissolve. It's fighting its hardest to stay, as a real separate one. It doesn't want to disappear because there's no thing, no one. You see, as much as the one wants to wake it up, the I, the me, the separate illusionary I that has a life, that believes it's a real individual in the body, it doesn't want to give up the game in a hurry. That's also very clear. So everything is fascinating to step back. Don't get involved. See all these avatars. And then you can see the patterns repeating so clearly. You see? And you will feel nothing. No hate, no judgment, no animosity, no anything besides absolute interest and love and compassion, because this character had the same patterns. And they went over and over until you could work on them. And you could see it. You watch them pop up. You watch the so-called mind. It's trying to give you a story. And when you realize there's no time, space, no past, you won't listen to the parrot telling you about, that you, as though you had a real past and that actually happened. It's thought coming now, telling you about, and pictures coming about, oh, yeah, this happened, that happened. You'll ignore it. You take nothing seriously. And what amazes me, you can see who's sharp enough to see through the whole thing. Yeah, you can see it. I admire that. Look at old Paul Hedderman. To overcome that pattern was a real negative pattern that man had. Come from that to being able to see through this mechanism. How many psychologists can even pull that off? Well, they really are. They believe the character and they've got a mind and a real person. All they're doing is trying to change the program, which is so faulty. It's a mechanism. It's not. Oh, it's fascinating. Amazing. Interesting. Wow, something else. But there we are. You can see through it. And then you can just watch it. Wow. Very, very transparent, actually. As I say, it's all going to fall apart. It's becoming, because one is going to wake itself up. Because the characters believe they have control. The one, source, if it decides to get rid of this illusionary I, it's going to go, if you like it or not. You're going to wake up. There's no separate one that has control here. That's what I say. It's just so fascinating. Just let it be. You let what be and you watch what's going to unfold. You're not going to change Wall Street and the bankers. They want Elon Musk and they want Amazon. They're going to pull out all strings. You can see which medias they're using to get their way. And how they see things are predictable. So you'll know how they behave. You see. Same with the royal family. Same with Trump. You can see it. Just see look at the past. Look at the patterns. Look at the blah, blah, The character's running a flawed program. There's no one doing it. And they repeat. Go look. They repeat the same behaviors, same regime change styles, takeovers, patterns, attempts, propaganda, It's so transparent. Just go look at the elections. Look at all the nonsense that happens, and people still fall for it every year. Oh my gosh. And they get all worked up. They get them worked up about some immigrants or some threat or some nonsense, whatever. Convince them they need more security, less rights, whatever. Just, and you're like, okay. I mean, wow, fascinating. It really is. Look at the awakens, what's happening on that, and all the levels of that. And even that's still asleep, because there's no actual separate person that exists in no separate character. That's the me definitely trying to. It's now upgraded itself to a higher self, because it doesn't want to die. It's now hanging on. It's now created a new upgraded version of the Maya called a higher self. That's how much it doesn't want to disappear. So the ego has now created a higher self, and now it's going to be a better version, which is good. Upgrade is still good. It's definitely an improvement, but it's still a pattern, a story. It's still a Maya. It's still an illusion. Science will tell you very clearly there is no matter here. And when you stop feeding that, you will see that. And then, how can you? You really got to see it like the non-dual. They really tell you what when it's fallen, when the illusionary one's fallen away and no one's there. They really tell you what's there, the truth without the Maya. It's very true. So then you just let life, you let it be. You let it unfold. You let what happens. And you will not judge, and you will not hate, and you will not, no matter who's doing what, you just watch it. Really, try that. It's very interesting. You won't. Doesn't matter what the player's doing and what program, you just know it's a program running. And it's really interesting, especially when you see that, if you understand their ancestry, or whatever industry they're in, and their parents, they're running a program. Whatever they're also being sold, their countries, you can see it in countries, the collective consciousness and the programs they're running. And then if you step back even further, watch, and you'll see then how this so-called ego, illusionary self, operates. And it's actually quite, as a thing, notice it's like a program, I suppose. Artificial, just, loops as well. Fault has its faults. You start seeing the cracks through. And then you just, all I was say, if everyone's going to get wake up, they're going to wake up. And then it'll be good, because then they'll travel lighter. They won't believe in the story so much. It won't be any nonsense, any separation, any, because there's no individual stake in it then, you see. And there's no separation. So, like they say, you won't take the story seriously. And it'll be a lot more peaceful. Anyway. It is interesting to watch. So be observant. Because no one takes a look and has a look. And understand, those that have shareholders have control. Not the CEO or the manager. Or the director. The major shareholders. They can vote them out to remove them. Because they own the more shares, you see. Anyway. There we are. At the games. But that's it. That's how I say it. You'll really, from an awakened point of view, you'll see the patterns, how the Maya, the characters operate. It's just a pattern. That's it. It's created a story. You're not going to change it, because it's habitual. The pattern runs as me. You've really got to actually completely disconnect from it. When you really got to stop listening to it, identifying as the person and the body. If you want the illusion to completely fall away and see the real truth of what's actually, that this is a complete illusion. Still, it goes on. The body's still in it. But you will see it's not real. That's all. And then you won't, you'll see there's no real people, no real bodies, no one, any of this. Then definitely won't take it seriously. But we're not there. We're far from there. As you noticed. But anyway, there we are, lovely people. So sorry I haven't been on. The health of the body has not been good. And the doctors are really trying there to get to the bottom of it, but I don't know, who knows. It's not young, and the body's been through a lot. a lot. So it's still here is quite something. Yeah, thank you. But that doesn't matter to this one anymore. But the body is, yeah, wow. Quite amazed that it's still going, actually, to be honest. So it has been battling, and the health has had some frightening dips and things. But they've run lots of tests. They have tried. We're waiting for some more results, running some more tests. But, whatever. That I'm saying, there's no one in the body. You know that. So you're not attached to the body, because if the body doesn't, no body's going to leave here. All bodies are going to disintegrate. But if you're awake, they'll just stop. They won't. It's just an appearance. It pops up like an empty holographic image, and it pops down again. So all that happens is the body stops arising in the story, and then you will experience it as a death. But there's no one that dies. There's no death anyway. So it's an illusion. So there's no attachment to any body, or any, if it gets better, it doesn't. If it does, whatever. You just, as I say, when you realize that no one's in there, there's no real self, which is true, no real freedom, free will, you're going to just relax it. Free will is an illusion. And that's proven that the body will take the action. If you're observant enough, you'll even see, if you were in control of this body, if you were a body, first of all, you would be, you'd just be mechanically operating anyway. But yeah, the action is taken before there's a awareness of it, actually. Really, really interesting. Fascinating story. Fascinating to see what's unfolding here and what will actually happen. And just let them play their games and watch, you watch what's happening and the fighting and the division, because they're repeating the program. So whatever biases and hate and nonsense that the program has run, or ancestry, you can clearly see it. And then you'll know. It's predictable, because you'll know how they will behave. They're not awake enough. They're repeating just, they parrot. It just comes out automatically. There's no one in there doing it. Okay. Shame. Thank you. You can't have, how can you not love? That's when I say you can sit back and you can, there's no control here. So how can you change them? You can't change the world. You can't convince Wall Street or, anyone, whatever program, to be any different, or that, oh my gosh, this whole patriotic, all you can see is contracted, old energy. Fear, dense energy is trying to contract, pull back, defense, put more borders up, control. That's it. Because the illusionary character is all about control. The me, myself, I have a life, I'm in control. It's got no control. It's complete illusion. That's why it's so fearful. That's why it is so much wanting to control thoughts, its own emotions, everything. It's all about control. The illusion, the separate one, the I, the ego, is all about control. Very clear to see. Very, very clear to see. Fear. So watch. The contracted dark energy is all about shutting borders, closing everyone off, retreating, keep it to me. We don't want them. We're not going to share. They are a threat. It's all about, you know what I mean? So you see war, fighting, division, blame, hate, racism, blah, 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 blah. That's it. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But it has no control. That's the most amusing part. And the one that is, it just doesn't matter, because there's no one really happening. No one's actually doing anything. There's nothing actually happening. So it's just it's an illusion. It's a dream. So there's no right or wrong, because there's no time or separation. So there's no one to be right or wrong, you see, because there is no actual one. There's no individuals here at all. So who could be right or wrong? What could be seen as bad or right if nothing's actually happening and no one, no one's doing anything? You understand? That's why I say it's an illusion that there's good or bad or right or wrong or anything. They are just bodies running programs and patterns which are so obvious to see, and behaviors. And like, okay. It's so interesting. And even to watch, those that are waking up yet. and how the ego is trying to stay alive. Now it's created a higher self. Ooh. It does not want to disappear into oneness and be nothing and no one. It wants to be, you see, and try and have illusionary control. But if you had control, there wouldn't be an action before the thought. The thought comes after the action. It doesn't matter anyway. It's all wonderful. It's all a story. There's no brain. You don't have a brain. That's what I'm saying. You see, that's the I talking. You believe you're a separate entity, and you believe those are your thoughts, and it's your mind. There's no mind in the first place. Please go and have a look where the thoughts come from. Out of nothing, ask. Self-inquiry. It's why I say a good one to follow. I really admire that he's seen through how this mechanism works, is Paul Hederman. On his non-duality, he's really managed. Well, look at, that had a real negative program that was, very destructive program running. So, that's what I say. There was a real need to, not to get out of that story. It's amazing. And this body had quite a life. A lot of trauma, a lot of shit happened here. So, yeah. You start seeing the cracks, and you'll start seeing through the illusion. And when you've seen enough, you will know that there's no thoughts. There's no you. They're not your thoughts. Hello. Science proves that. There's no you that has thoughts. If they were, you would be having control over them and what you think. It's not as a It's actually very mechanical, as he says. That's why I say I admire him for spotting it. It's actually quite mechanical. So you don't have to listen. But anyway, that's why I say it's all. Who knows what's going to happen? You wait and see. Depends what you know. For here, there's no interest in it anymore. You see it's a failed program. You see the division and separations as cause and everything else, and you have no interest in playing anymore. So you don't feed the separate entity or the ego or the so-called I. So then it loses its strength and its hold and its stories, and it tries to get you into its stories and dramas. You just don't have any interest because you know it's complete bollocks. Even when it tries to drag you into its drama, oh my gosh, and it's past, and it pops up here and tries to give you all this past and all this drama, and you're just like, I'm not interested. No one's here to listen. You see, as long as you're listening to it and you believe that there's someone that has a life and a story, you'll listen to it. That's how the I stays relevant. That's how the Maya continues. Now it's created a higher self. But it is an upgraded version, thank you, at least, anyway. Desperately, trying to keep the game alive. There we are. There's no non-duality. It doesn't want to go back to source because it's no it. There's only one. Ask anyone that is, when there's no one there, they'll tell you there's no one. That's the truth. So who's the one claiming that it's got a life? You'll hear that. You'll actually recognize the thoughts. You realize. So it's just a program running. It's an energy that just has this, but it's automatic, as he says. It automatically. You're not going to stop it. The only way you're going to stop the illusion is by actually starving that energy, not listening to it, ignoring it, and not identifying with it, completely detaching from the body and its thoughts and story. And it will weaken it, but it kicks a big fuss up. And then you'll start seeing, literally, as they say, the illusion starts thinning, and it starts showing you the truth, and you're like, holy shit. Quite a paradox there. It's the biggest fear for this so-called one, so it definitely doesn't want, that's why it's quite a powerful program. You're going to believe that you're, whatever it's telling you, the mind, the thoughts of, and story, and past, and ooh. But it is nobody. That's still the one anyway. It's just it's an energy in it claiming to be a separate one. But if you do your self-inquiry, you'll realize there's no physical body, and you can't feel, there's no borders. You can't feel a border between you, so-called you, the body, and here. And if you're not focusing on it, you won't even feel the rest of the body. That's why you can transcend. Well, never mind. I've shared enough about that. We're not onto that subject. But anyway, observe what's going on. Understand no one's here. This is what amazes you. You just think, one planet, all human, all have the same sort of bodies, they're all human, this sort of Homo sapien, human race, whatever else. Go walk across the border, it's a piece of land you can put your foot across, put a fence up there and say it's somebody else. And you all find nobody wants to share. There's enough food and there's no shortage of food or money, because it's a system, an invented financial system. Anyone can come up with any idea of how to, whatever financial, we could trade coins, we could trade shells. Whatever you decide is so-called value, and what the value is and who's going to share, that's all it is. It's an illusion. It's made up. So there is no, it's who you want to give the money to, you see, when you have, it's greed. So we have created mega million massive companies, which are just want to get bigger now, trillionaires, and there's no shortage of food and so, and we're fighting over other people's countries to dominate, because we want to, be able to control their countries and plant our food to feed us, But if we just all work together and not saw them as our food, their country, our country, theirs, I want, and we all work together, we would be able to feed the whole planet without any war, without anyone being hungry, anyone starving, anyone going without. It's called sharing, as we teach children in kindergarten. But the program seems to wear off when they get to high school, and who knows, corporations doesn't even work like that. They even compete among each other in corporations. There's a default program running there of opposition, yeah. Big corporations are the worst. Watch. It's all departmentalized. And who's going to outform and get the best, So you even it's amazing. So that's what I'm saying. You can see the faults in the operating systems, human operating systems. No, human operating, but the Maya, the illusionary self, self-destructive, actually. Competitive, divisive, duality, there's the right word for it. It's playing a game. There's no way to change it. Just stop listening to the nonsense. That'll help. You realize, understand what it is. Start listening to that and you'll start seeing through it. Start listening to this sort of content and meditate. Do your self-inquiry. And that'll give you a foot in to start seeing it. And then, from there it'll go. There we are. It's just fascinating. It really is. All right, lovely peeps. We all one, playing different bodies, that's the thing. If you did see through the separation, none of this would be happening, because you would know there's no separate one. They're just different forms, but there's no one here. None of this would happen. So let's see what happens, because they really believe they have, there's no I am, that's the thing. The I is the one that needs to vanish. The I is the one that is the illusion. As long as there's an I, this entire fake world and illusion and separation appears. And everything is it. That's it. Bye-bye. There's no me and there's no I. There's nothing and no one. That's it. Fascinating. And then you start seeing the bubble. You start seeing the whole, it's illusionary world. It's a bubble. It's incredible, the energy. Yeah, amazing. Fascinating. But that's what I say. There's all these stories about we having enough money and there and us and them and budget and austerity and you need to go without. And then you see trillionaires and mega businesses and it's greed. It's just greed. Or whatever. And we want to now go to war over other people's countries. We're fighting over who's going to have the most shares or control of Africa. America's got its obviously toe in South America, so it can now start growing food, that it hasn't destroyed the land and crops and poisoned it and GMO'd the shit. Whatever. So now their mega corporations have got most of, that sort of. And now they all want to fight over, blocking them. They can't get, any, oh my gosh. That's what I'm saying. It's just adults playing like kids in a playground, fighting. I'm not sharing with you. Just baffled. It's mind-baffling. There we are. Judge none, find it all fun and love. Okay. Love. Because really it is. It's just, wow. Amazing. Interesting. Just observe. Detach and observe. Oh, because nothing's really happening anyway. And love it. It will change. The one is fully in charge here. And it's already upgrading its operating system in the Maya to a higher self. So there's an improvement. So there we are, Let's see, it's a dream. Let's see. Someone to stay in the dream. It definitely wants to stay in the dream, as it wouldn't upgrade its operating system. But there we are. It's interesting. Very, very interesting and predictable. So watch it. As it resolves, now you're awake, you're able to see the patterns. They repeat themselves. They're so obvious, their behaviors and their tactics and their games and their stories and their, yeah. But see it from a perspective of the Maya, not from a perspective of them and judgment. Like that's just nonsense. Be aware then when your own program kicks in of the body. There's biases here. This is they're unrecognized. Believe me, when it pops up and it tries to be biased and it does little things, you're aware. You see them. You see these programs and things pop, and it tries to drag you into its drama, and you're like, no, I'm not playing. But if you've seen enough to it, you don't buy into it, so you don't listen to its stories, and you don't care because there's no one here anyway. It's an illusion. You see. We'll get there. Humanity's going there. Obviously, the one wants to change the game, but it's still the same one. So some want to play nasty or suffer, whatever, they're going to do that. That's it. Those bodies, because it's their dream. Yeah. Wishful thinking. No one's here. There's just bodies, forms with programs. Depends whatever you want to believe, as it feeds it in, and tells you, oh, you had that happen, and you're like, no time, no space, right? Where's the past? Where's the separate one? None. Can't be. If there's no space, no time. How can there be anything other than you? There isn't any. As any guru or awakened one will tell you that. Okay. In your bubble, yes. In your dream, in your Maya, absolutely. The minute that bubble pops, all of that dissolves. The minute you drop into a bubble, it automatically appears like a movie screen. So your world is absolutely real to you, for sure. It's a play of light. It's amazing. But the minute you pull out of that bubble, no more. Maya. Anyway, have fun playing. Have fun in your story while you're in it. Okay, beautiful people. I love you a lot. Go easy. Be nice. Don't be observers. Don't join in the blame and the fight and the hate and the nastiness. Think of the bodies. Which is the nicest, kindest? How would you like to be treated? It's always a good way to go and vote. How would you like to be treated? Simple. Because that is you. So see all as you. And obviously, everyone, the people want their own rights. What's greater for them? Better workers' rights, better everything, better behavior, better treatment, better housing, better everything. But those, that have a lot don't seem to want to share. Still, gee. Oh dear, there's still some spoiled children in the playground. They don't want to share their sweetie with anybody else. But that's the program they're running. And how can you blame them? If you were taught not to share, not to be nice, not to be kind, and you're not going to be anything else, because that's the program that thing is running. That's the bias, and you know what I mean? And if it's been programmed to believe that whatever, it's going to believe that. So you can't blame it either. All right. Here we are. Love you all. What's there not to love? Even this, it's fascinating. Most fascinating. Fascinating to observe the shift with all this going on. And the games and it's distasteful if you look at it from that point of view. But as I say, you just look at it and you're like, and you don't want to get involved in it because it is not nice, you know. Some of it's obviously not nice, but that's from a human perspective. If you look at it from a human perspective, they're suffering. It's not nice behavior, but understand that as I say, those avatars, it's a program. So clear. Go and watch. Then you'll see it. So the patterns are so obvious to see. Fascinating. So look at it from a conscious point of view. It is so interesting to observe this. Really, really is. All right, I'm going to go now. Go rest. Love you all. Be nice, be kind, be observant. There we are. Watch it. Okay. Do unto others as you want done unto the self. Well, the body, how you'd like to be treated as an avatar player. There we are. It's the most you can do. And be understanding if they're running a negative program. Throwing stones, hating them, or trying to change them, or arguing is not going to help, as you know, because if you come with aggression, it meets it. Rather just see, oh wow, okay, there we are. What you can't change, do your bit. Don't just be good, be nice. All right, love you lots. Bye.